Will be done by 7.
Detroit Business Hub Group Director Nancy O'Neill works with her team of experts. Listen to conversations with business professionals to discover the latest business innovations, insights, and trends. Find out what's hot and what's not in today's business market.
Well, welcome, Nicole. Welcome, everybody, to the Detroit Business Hub Group. I'm so ecstatic and happy to have Nicole Dietrich as a guest. She's been a friend of Detroit Business Hub Group almost since the beginning, pretty close to the beginning. And she is a business manager with Lake Trust Credit Union. She's helped DBHG quite a bit, and I wanted her to go ahead and further introduce herself.
Thanks, Nancy. Really excited to be here this evening. Yes, and we are huge supporters, and I just think everything that you personally do just so admirable. So, as she said, I'm Nicole Dietrich. I am one of the business development managers for Lake Trust Credit Union. And for those that aren't familiar with Lake Trust, we actually are a full-service financial institution that helps businesses and members all across the state of Michigan. We have a statewide charter. We have over 20 locations to help everybody, kind of from lake to lake. That's where the Lake Trust comes in. And we can help both on the member side and fully on the commercial and business side.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think some people don't realize how large you are until they actually find out a little bit more about you. So 20 locations is a lot, like if it's in one area, but I guess since you're like Metro Detroit, but since you're across the state, then you're kind of a little bit more spread out.
Yep, so we do have a Detroit Woodward location. We're right at Milwaukee and Woodward. We actually used to be DTE Employees Credit Union, so a lot of people in the Detroit metro area know us by that name,
right?
And State Employees Credit Union. But yeah, we service, like I said, all across the state. So wherever you're at, you really can find a Lake Trust to help you.
Okay, sounds great. So what federal or local funding sources are now available for business owners? You helped a lot of business owners last year. You were part of our webinar in last June, the state of small business post-COVID-19. Who knew that the pandemic was going to last almost a year and a half? We're just now coming out the woodwork. So now that, a lot of the grants have gone through in the PPP, are there still federal and local funding sources available for small businesses?
There is. It's not, like you said, it's not what it once was, but there really still are the funds out there. So instead of listing a lot of the funds, what I'd like to do is share some of the resources so that constantly your listeners would be able to find them. One of the great resources would, of course, be the SBDC website.
Okay.
They were the ones that really put through the PPP, which is no more, but, the SBA website. SBDC is a great resource. I'm going to get into it in a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. But the SBA,
they're along the same lines.
yeah, they're all great resources.
On the federal level, yeah.
The SBA actually has that COVID relief page that would cover your EIDL, that would highlight that. But they constantly, even pre-pandemic, would have resources available for small businesses. So as far as the federal funding, that would be personally where we send our members first to let's see what the SBA website is showing is available. For Michigan, also MEDC is a great resource because they have, there's the Community Revitalization Fund. They always have different funds, and finding a partner there, their website is great. So those are two key resources. The SBDC, actually, because I already brought them up, connecting with your local SBDC location would be a great way to also get some of that information. I'm going to talk about them a little bit throughout this segment because I think, in addition, they're a nice layer on top of to what you can do for businesses, right? But having a local individual that can really let you know when some of those resources are available as well.
Sounds great. How should business owners reopen their business? We know that Governor Whitmer reopened the state, I believe, on June 22nd, which has been about a week. What do you recommend? I'm walking into some businesses now. Some of them are requiring customers to wear masks, others aren't. So what do you think some good protocols would be for new business owners or returning business owners into the marketplace?
Yeah, I think that is almost the $1 million question, isn't it? I think,
Right.
I don't know that any one person has that silver bullet magic answer. I think a couple things could play into that would be understanding your comfort level as a business owner and your staff's comfort level, understanding your customer base's comfort level. So for example, I have traveled to other states and it was completely different than what my experience here in Michigan is because of the comfort levels. So I think understanding your market and understanding the comfort level. I also would say whatever you decide, make sure it's clearly posted and communicated because it is confusing for us to understand. I think reopening is difficult for some business as well because of staffing.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think understanding what your staffing can support for hours. A lot of businesses will choose to be closed on Monday to allow for a day off or to shorten their hours. So I think, again, I don't have that secret answer. I think relying on business coaches like yourself and, the SBDC has a lot of return to work. They can help you with that. Your county, usually they have great kind of tips there, but it's really, I would say at this point, more on the comfort level of you as a business owner, probably whatever your business is and your staffing and what your staff is comfortable with and knowing what your customer base is comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing in addition to staff is just knowing your customers. And, hopefully over this past 15, 16 months, we've had business owners have had some contact with their customer base. Like we went totally virtual, except we did a few webinars for our teachable courses. But other than that, we did everything virtually. So you still have to keep those lines of communications open and keep that relationship going. So really, when they come back in person, it's really just like a smooth transition. You're transitioning from meeting with them virtually back to face. So hopefully there's been some contact there. It just isn't like this huge void where no one's heard from you like a year and a half. Like I think I told you, I believe it was I was talking to you when I was telling you like when I couldn't go to the hair salon for 3 months. Oh my goodness, it was a nightmare.
We all were sort of walking around like this, weren't we? Like, don't look at my roots.
Yeah, so I had to break down and buy a wig from my hairstylist. But one of the things that she did, which I really appreciated, is that she would host on Saturday morning. She came on for an hour for her customer base, and she would do a live webinar on how you can maintain your hairstyle, healthy hair at home. So even though I attended a couple of webinars, my hair still really didn't look that much better. And, there were still some women that were like, yeah, we followed all your steps and our hair still doesn't look the way it does when we go to the salon. She's like, look, I'm the professional. This is what you guys paid me for. It's not going to look the same, but at least you can manage until we reopen again and you get back to the hair salons. So
I think you bring up a good point, though. There are some businesses, and I think about retail, I think about, restaurants that maybe did some things that were outside of their scope before that their customer base has also gotten used to. So I think about the curbside pickup. I think about online. So, some of my favorite, I try to boutique shop and support local as much as I can.
Yeah.
There's some stores downtown, midtown that get way too much of my money. That's for sure. But, they were offering like, call in and tell them what, they would do like Facebook Live and show you what they have. And you would call in and say what you want. I think those are all things you really can't just quit because we've all, consumers, gotten used to that. And it's an extra revenue stream that you can add to your, your individuals walking in. So I think as you're reopening, think about what are you going to keep that worked well, and what can you sort of maybe sunset. I wouldn't recommend just cold turkey stopping it. I would slowly sunset some of those offerings.
Yeah, because the other thing about Midtown and downtown, unfortunately, like a lot of people don't want to deal with the hassle of parking. It's congested. There's a lot of traffic some of the time, depending on what hours you go. So being able to shop online, I mean, Amazon is like number one for a reason. So it's very convenient. You can order something, get your products in the next couple of days. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about long lines at the mall. So there are definitely some benefits to, shopping virtually. And there were a lot of good deals that business owners offered to their customers so they could stay afloat. So, yeah, I definitely think that they should continue doing the things that worked well for them during the pandemic.
And I think it's going to take a while for people. For me, I'm fine. I'm happy to be back in, and I'm I like to see the fabric. I like all that, but there's still plenty of customers out there that just aren't going to be comfortable just yet being out there, or they're going to want to wear their masks. So I think accommodating them as well.
Yeah. I still wear my mask on and off depending on what setting I am in, just because of comfortability. Like if I know I'm going to be sitting next to someone longer than 15 minutes, I normally put a mask on. So it just kind of depends on where I'm at, if I decide to wear one or not.
Yeah, I agree.
So what are some of your business programs? Like the last couple of times you've been on, we really haven't talked about Lake Trust products. So are you all offering the crowdfunding program this summer? What are some other programs that you offer to your business customers or you have offered in the past?
Yeah, you have a great memory, because we did at the beginning of COVID, we realized, credit unions and Lake Trust specifically were founded on the basis of people helping people. And we realized our people, which we feel like the entrepreneurs in our, footprint are our people. They're employing our members. They are our members. They're keeping, everything running. So we had to help them. We had to do something. And it's still out there. We partnered with Detroit's very own Patronicity, which is a great platform for crowdfunding and different things. We did the Great Lakes Give Back, where we did a crowdfunding and a match for, it was across the state. So we had, I'm not a resident Michigander, whatever we call ourselves. So there were towns popping up that I'd never even heard of. How they heard about our program, I have no idea. But so it was great. We really helped businesses, truthfully, across the state, even, almost to the UP. So it was really great.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we're still trying to figure out, we still will be and want to help small businesses, but we're trying to figure out the best way. We talked about capacity a little bit ago, that a lot of the true micro businesses, they don't have the capacity to do the crowdfunding that they did when they were shut down, because they're working and they're understaffed. So you'll see Lake Trust do something. We're just trying to figure out the best way to do that. We have our micro loan program all the time, and it's a great resource. I know you and I talk a lot about startup and scale. Really, that's a great micro loan for that. So it's up to $49,999. And here's why it's great. It's a business purpose loan that's done on your personal credit and your personal income. So we know a lot of entrepreneurs, the businesses are new and they don't have the revenue or the time that some of your bigger banks are going to require for your commercial lending.
Right.
So this is, a lot of individuals, even you, Nancy, you have a day, you have another job on the side of, all your other businesses. So yes, like you are like the busiest person I know, actually. But, that's the case with most entrepreneurs. And so this allows them to pull in and use that income. We're able to use, a lot of our small businesses sell on Etsy. They have PayPal, they have Venmo, they have all these. We can pull in all of these different income streams and use them. We can look at, some of the debt to income, but it really gives those true micro businesses, or maybe I'm just an entrepreneur that's startup. I have a great idea and I just need a pizza oven, or I need a floor scrubber. We actually do the micro loans for, automobiles. And that's a key one there, because it's tricky to get a commercial vehicle loan. And so we'll do it on your personal, it's that business purpose piece on your personal. We're able to fold in co-signers, which helps too. So it really is a great feature. And we can usually have that turned around within 72 hours, which is also key, because that's not the case with a true commercial loan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Don't even get me started.
I know. We actually do have a great commercial suite. So think about any commercial business product that your large financial institutions have. We have the ability to help. The great thing is we're local. All decisions are made local. We work with you local. So we can help with the treasury. We can help with the commercial loan. We're an SBA lender. In fact, we've received SBA Lender of the Year awards. So we can do your large commercial, your large real estate, your large refinance needs. But that micro loan is really great because it's done with your local branch. And like I said, it's turned around very quickly.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's based on personal credit, because if you're brand new, like you don't have any customers yet, you're just kind of in that infancy state. You don't have any type of a footing or history to fall back on, so you almost need that personal line. And there was a NABO statistic that I saw, and it said that most of their members, they start their businesses with like personal credit cards. So that's how a lot of us start our businesses. I mean, I started DBHD with my own funding. So it's just becoming new, where a lot of new business owners are getting like huge crowdfunding grants and loans, like up to $1 million. Like maybe 5 years ago, that was just unheard of. You just had like a $10,000 credit line, or, maybe a home equity loan or something. And that's what you started your business with. So, like I said, that's how most of us got started.
And I think the business purpose loan is great in replace of that credit card, because the interest rates are going to be half of what your credit card interest rates are. And we offer a fixed loan and a line of credit. So a lot of the individuals that are in startup and scale, they don't know. They're like, do I need 10,000? Do I need 20,000? I don't know. Yeah. So that line of credit is great. But then we have on the flip side, like I said, we do a lot of pizza ovens. We do a lot of floor scrubbers. They know that they need X amount for X thing.
Right.
And so, then we can do the fixed amount as well.
Yeah. And I think, usually when you write a business plan, which we help new business owners with, all your financials are already in there. And even if you don't have customers, you don't have a lot of customers, you just make projections. Like you have to look at your 3 top competitors in the industry that you're in. And you just have to figure out, like with me, okay, by year 2, year 3, I estimate this many members to be in my organization, based on marketing and other statistics that are out there in your local community. And I think you can come up with some pretty good financial projections from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think working with a business coach like yourself is really important as a first step. It's not required, but I think before you take on a lot of business debt, it's good to understand what your projections will support, so you're not walking in blind and can set yourself up for success long term.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting small either.
No, we do a lot. The last few that I've talked to, it's individuals that have needed like 35 to 5,000 because they knew they just needed X, right? They just needed this one thing. So yeah,
I'd say just borrow hopefully get grants if you can, exactly what you need, and don't go over, because we can always find something else to spend money on. But the thing is, it's like, are you going to produce that? Are you going to have the income producing activities in place to be able to pay that money back? Because, hey, even if you get a grant or a loan, if it's a loan, you are going to have to pay the money back.
And that's why I think today it takes, and you'll see kind of that, I think you're going to see the grants kind of shift, before there wasn't a lot. I think a lot of people think there's a ton, there's a lot out there, but there's a lot of competition is what happens. And so being plugged in with a coach like you, like I said, referring to the SBDC, actually in the Detroit area, we really like the DEGC, because we have the, you get your business liaison. So if you're working with a coach like you, and then you have that business liaison, you're constantly getting the information that you need.
Yeah, and SCORE is another really good resource too, because they offer services for free. So they offer, the business coaching. Not that I'm not undermining what we do, but I'm saying if you need our services aren't free, we do require membership. If you need help with the business plan and business coaching and that type of thing. So the nice thing about us, what differentiates us, is the networking aspect and component. So with organizations like SCORE, you're going to be working mostly with one individual. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to work with a team and, pass referrals around, which is key to helping you successfully start a business, then you would probably want to explore DBHD a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. SCORE, SVDC, those are the key ones kind of statewide that we end up working with, because they can also fill the gaps where maybe there's something missing, or even if you want an Excel, there's just access to so much out there.
Yeah, we do have a lot of resources in Detroit. The best thing I think you can do is just go out to as many events or webinars that you can, and then just find the organization that you mesh with the best. Because, if we're not the organization for you, we could definitely point you in the right direction, but there's enough business out here for all of us. So, like Dr. Nicole Freeman, she works with incubators. So we had initially done some incubator work and found out that wasn't the greatest niche for us. So we're working more with maybe business owners who are a little bit more established, or we kind of honed it in more to real estate, insurance, and the financial services industry. And we're finding that's a better niche for us. But hey, there's so many incubator programs out there. There's Tech Town. There's Nicole Freeman's group. I mean, it just goes on. And there's resources out there. I'm sure that you all have programs. You all offer educational programs for some of your clients as well.
We do, and you don't have to actually be a member. So I think what's great about Lake Trust is that a lot of times both members and non-members, because of our network, I talk to so many entrepreneurs. It's a great opportunity to refer to you, or to refer to, we do a lot of business with Tech Town, but we're on the west side. CMURC is a great incubator in Mount Pleasant. We do a lot of work with the Entrepreneurship Center at Washtenaw Community College. So, if we can't help you, we can refer our, small businesses and micro businesses to that, like you said, that right person, or at least who we think, based on what we've talked about, could be a good partner match for them.
Okay. When is a good time for business owners to scale or expand their businesses? What's your opinion on that? That's another kind of open, warm question, open book question.
It is, yeah. I think that, again, it's that, because not any two businesses are the same, one magic answer for everyone. And that's where I think individuals like SCORE and the SVDC are great resources, because they do help you walk through that. I think a good rule of thumb, and Nancy, we were talking before we went live, my husband, so by default, I end up being, we're small business owners, right?
He's your best customer.
Yeah, he is a serial entrepreneur, that is for sure. I spend my days talking to entrepreneurs, and then I come home and listen to all these wonderful business ideas. So, no, but I think the thing about scaling is, I would say a good rule of thumb is to make sure you have the infrastructure. I hear a lot of individuals at the SVDC and SCORE say, make sure the time is right. Don't just scale because the perfect opportunity came. That could be, but do you have the infrastructure to support it? forecasting out what would that look like a couple months, a year, even maybe 5 years. Do you have the staffing to support it? I talked to somebody that really wanted to scale, and if they only had this one, like a little bit of money to get these extra resources, but then they didn't have anybody to manufacture. So they had all these great ideas, but they didn't have the manufacturing lockdown for what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to make sure you have the infrastructure in place along the way. So I would say a good rule of thumb is to make sure your business today can support that scale. Right. And really forecasting it out to make sure. And again, the infrastructure would be staffing. Do you have the support staff to really make that successful? Because it could be a great opportunity, but if you're going to provide a tough customer experience, that could inevitably create bigger problems. So again, that was a really vague answer, and that's why we try to make sure that we have such a great partner network. So that might be somebody. If it was a realtor that was asking me this, I might say, gosh, I don't know the answer to that, but my great friend Nancy does. Let me connect the two of you. Or, we work with the SBDCs all over. The office that works with Detroit, they're great. And we work with SCORE all over. If you're bigger and more established and can get into the 10,000 small business program, that's a great program. So I think having a network that we can refer our partners to is great. And in business so much now, it's not just what you know or what you can do, but you mentioned it's the power of your network.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so maybe you found a peer or even a competitor that has scaled and done a really great job. Like you said, there's enough business for all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick their brain, find out what they did or what would they wish they would have done differently. That's why I love networking events, because you can ask people, you can learn those little tips and tricks.
Yeah, and I would say also get a mentor who's already where eventually you want to get to, or where you want to end your business career, before you retire your business. So if you already are working with someone who's already scaled, and you can see it's already manifested what they've done with their business, that's definitely where you want to go to get your advice. So I would definitely say, get a mentor.
You had a great mentor, right? You had a great mentor.
A few mentors, actually.
Yeah.
Not necessarily one specific one for DBHG. I would say several, because this was the type of organization, like I said, we kind of started off as incubators and said, no, this isn't quite the right niche for us, but there wasn't anyone doing exactly what I was doing. So I really didn't have another model.
Yeah, you had to pull.
Yeah, you kind of have to pull bits and pieces. I said Nicole Freeman. I'm sorry, I meant Dr. Nicole Farmer with Lifeline Business Solutions. So wrong name on that. My bad. There are two different Nicoles that I know, so I messed that up. But Nicole, I had been to some of her events. I'd walked through her business plan program myself personally for a business that I was looking to launch. Talked to her about funding resources. I went to goal setting parties. And I just kind of wanted to add to what she had, the vision that she already had. But as I got deeper into it, I had to do a lot of soul searching myself to figure out what is DBG really all about. And now it's like so far removed from what we started with initially. Like, we just did another membership video because I was talking to Mike, our videographer, and I said, our initial membership video, I'm like, we're really not doing any of the stuff that's in that video. I'm like, we really got to update this. So it took me like a lot of soul searching to figure out what exactly did I want to offer DBHG. So, hats off to Nicole and some of the other mentors that I've had along the way. But I just know from being a former real estate agent, and I'm working on getting my license again in real estate this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, not to really sell it, but more just because I want to show people, like, I don't want to just be like a talking head, but I want to show them, like, I actually walked through the process myself. So it had been like, I hadn't sold real estate since 2008. So that's why I'm going to renew my license. And then my insurance license is still active. I'm not really doing a whole lot with it. I'm just collecting. I'm just collecting
The residuals.
Yeah, residual income. So
I think what you brought up though is a good. So the word pivot has been thrown around so much during COVID that I almost want to just remove that word from the dictionary in my vocabulary. But part of scaling, I think, so if you think about what you did, you pivoted, but you scaled as well. You sort of reflected, and I think, you asked when is the right time to scale? If you identified that there is a segment that's not being served,
right?
How can I serve it? And you sort of took a little, not a sharp left turn, but like a baby left turn, right?
Yeah.
And now it's growing.
We narrowed our scope. I talked to Mike about what we were doing. I talked to Melissa, who's our marketing specialist. She'd actually done a marketing plan for DBHG and talked about the level of engagement that we had in social media. And then I've interviewed Rosh Media and talked to him, Rosh, about, our direction, where we're going with DBHG. So I felt like we needed to scale down, in terms of our focus, because we were trying to be everything for all business owners. And it's that's really not my area of expertise either. I mean, I'm not walking around with the MBA. We have 2 MBAs on our team, but we don't have to try to be everything to everyone. So that's the beauty of you owning your own business. You can make it what you want to make it. Mm-hmm. And so I said, well, why don't we scale this down to real estate and insurance? Because I'm that's my background. I mean, I sold real estate and insurance for 12 years before I started teaching. So now we're kind of attracting people to us who we can kind of help more with what our experience is, which is what I wanted to do, because I went through a coaching program as a real estate agent, and the program was ridiculously priced. It was probably over $4,000. But that's the kind of price. I mean, when you meet someone who's really charismatic, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he's gonna take your business to the next level and all this stuff. So he was really, really good. So I was gung-ho once I went to his seminar. And then I got my business coach, and she never sold real estate. So I was
hard. Real estate is so hard. And I think they're like, I'm just going to get my real estate license. I don't think they realize how hard it is to build your book and what it takes. So I think it's great that you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So when she said, when I found out it was I'd already paid the $4,000. I didn't realize that this guy who speaks around the nation, that he wasn't gonna. I guess I really didn't put the pieces together. He wasn't gonna be the one directly coaching me, and he had this team of coaches. So I was totally disillusioned. I mean, I was bamboozled by the time I got. I got this coach, and when she told me she had never sold real estate and didn't really have a sales background, I was okay, how is this gonna work? So I ended up getting out of the contract. I said, I was totally disillusioned. That's why I try to, one of the reasons why we became a nonprofit is so we can offer the services that I know realtors and insurance agents need without charging them an arm and a leg to do it. And I got out of the contract. I think I only paid maybe $1,000 of it, but I'm this is kind of like a bait and switch, because I didn't sign up for this. I'm how is this lady going to help me when she doesn't have the skill set that I really need, that I was expecting from this program. But yeah, you would be shocked. I talked to a lady that I might consider working with, but how much they're charging for these online classes and in person, and because someone's an automatic expert because they wrote a book, so they can just put any dollar amount on the services that they're offering. And I'm not going to say it's a scam or a scandal, but it's people feel but basically people are going to charge what you allow them, what they can get away with charging. And I'm not putting any big names down, but it just comes to the fact, who needs more help than new business owners, and who probably has the least amount of resources to pay for these kind of ridiculous fees?
And I think that's why a local network is so important. Because You know, who's going to understand the Metro Detroit market better than a coach that's sitting in the Metro Detroit market? And that's even why we have two business development managers. So I work with Metro Detroit and Washtenaw County, but I have a counterpart that works with Lansing West, you know, because what I'm doing in Detroit could be very different than what he's doing, you know, in Holland or Grand Haven. So, and with some of our resources, we try to make sure. Now, you certainly could learn from somebody in Lansing, but what's working in Lansing might not work in Detroit or might not work in Auburn Hills or Rochester. So, knowing your network is local, I think is so important. And by the way, you are an expert because you have a great book. I don't know if you talked about this on there.
I wasn't necessarily referring to myself.
No, but the book is fabulous. Like,
thank you.
That's, you know, I think a great resource as well. I don't know if you ever talk about that on these podcasts, but I love it.
I don't really like to toot my own horn a lot, but yes, I think the book is great too.
It's good. I wish I had it. I'm sitting upstairs. I wish I had it to like hold up.
They can go to my website, but I'm like, I'm Nancy O'Neill and I endorse this message. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
I endorse it. It's a great book.
I just don't charge ridiculous fees. Like, my name isn't that huge right now for what I'm doing, but I don't charge. I mean, I wouldn't charge those fees anyway, but it's just the fact that I've walked in those shoes. And I think that someone who's trying to build their business, they shouldn't have to spend, you know, $5,000 for a coaching program or, you know, $10,000 to go to some island or whatever to learn how to be a good real estate agent. If they can afford it, that's fine. I know I was in the position where I had quit my full-time job and I was basically had enough to take my licensing course and pay for my exam. So I wasn't rolling in the dough, you know, to go out and, you know, pay for these lavish trips. But, you know, if people can do it, kudos to them. I think, like you said, money would be better spent being part of a local network. And the other thing about my mentor, she was actually in a different state. So I was like, okay, this makes even less sense. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to get out of that whole thing.
Yeah, it's so, and we do, you know, we do always say we think chambers are great, especially if you're in a small community like the Rochester Chamber. They're great. The Detroit Chamber is great too because of the access to information you get. But if you are in like a more rural area, that's really a very good cost that you might want to invest in. Again, investing in a great business coach is always just, it's such a help, but there are so many great resources. Lake Trust, like I said, is a great resource because you don't have to be a member. You know, we have a ton of individuals just in our network that we work to. We maybe will refer to our partners, you know, so I think it really, I guess we should have maybe called this podcast, maybe the strength of your network or whatever, you know, because that really is what it all boils down to. We want to be able to help. And I think, you know, there's a lot of great resources, but it's also, you know, connecting to them.
Yeah, and I think you have to decide when you're shopping around for what networks you want to be a part of. What do you want to get out of that network? Because it might not always be financial. I've been a member of the Ferndale Chamber of Commerce, the Southfield Chamber of Commerce. I've been a member of LBN. I started a LBN, I think it was, or helped start the Southfield chapter. So I definitely have had my share of, you know, being parts of other organizations and chambers. And also, you know, I did Women Who Inspire, who's a business organization for women, for 5 years before starting DBHG last year. So what I did, you know, what I always do is I look at the model that I've already experienced and I see what I can do to tweak it and make it better. So, but I got something different. I've also been a member of the Black Chamber of Commerce. I did I got something out of each and every one of those experiences. And then I just said, how can I make this unique for the group of people that I'm working with right now? So that's kind of how DBHG came to fruition. And I think some people are kind of misguided, because everything is not about a sales transaction. It's
No.
all based on relationships. And even if you don't make a sale right then and there, it doesn't mean that you building this relationship with this particular person isn't going to lead you to, someone could totally change your life around and change your business around 1 or 2 years down the road. Even after maybe some of those organizations aren't active, like I'm no longer doing Women Who Inspire, but some of my speakers, Tammy Turner, she already spoke for Women Who Inspire. So some of my speakers and some of the members now, even of DBHG, remember me from my Women Who Inspire days. So you just never know where those relationships are really going to take you, and they're really invaluable.
And true networking, when you talk to, so we work a lot with, I'll give him a little plug. He's from Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's called The Reluctant Networker. He's got a great little 52 weeks podcast, but he points out, and you know it, like networking gets like this icky vibe because in general, we think we're there to sell, when in fact, it's exactly what you said. You're there to build the relationship. Because even I think I would consider you a friend now. We didn't start that way. It took time to build, the working relationship that we have. And so I think that's what he's go in and build the relationship, not just like, here's what I'm selling. How can you help me? So
And one thing that Tammy Turner taught me is, like she said, and she talks about her in her book, Never Talk to Strangers, that once you do your elevator pitch and you introduce yourself to someone, the next thing you say is, how can I be of service to you? And I mean, it messes with people's psyche, because it's like, wait a minute, this is like a sales networking event. Like, you're supposed to be trying to sell me something, not saying, how can you help me? So people don't even know how to respond to that. They don't know what to say. But I love that approach.
Yeah, I do too. Like, if you just take the sales aspect out of it and just think you're there, and that's exactly it. How can go in with a service mindset is
exactly.
If you can do that, then actually everyone will be at ease. But it is, it is. How can you help them? Because I think there's a lot of people that I'll talk to that maybe I'll meet. I can't actually help them, but I'll be able to. I refer them to you. So it's me being able to pass that information along. Like, I'm just sort of that middle person.
Exactly. And I think the reason why networking has such a bad vibe is we all know those organizations. Like, I won't say any names because I try to be totally positive on the show, but I've been to some of those networking events where it's like they guarantee you're going to get 6 leads a month or 10 leads a month, and sometimes they meet at like 7:45.
I was going to say those groups meet too early for me
in the morning, and I'm not a really huge. I'm not a huge morning person, but I remember this one networking group. I got invited to attend this event, and it was already like 7:00 in the morning, so I'm already kind of freaking out about that. Then it was in Birmingham, so then I'm driving.
We left your house at 4 a.m. Yeah, for those of you that aren't listening live, it's officially 6:50 p.m. if that tells you how little we are morning people.
Right. So it was. I was literally driving from Grosse Pointe Park to Birmingham to get there at 7 a.m. Then
you know what?
And
some people love those. Like, I know some of those groups that individuals will swear that they love it. So I think kind of like we were saying, coaches and organizations, there really is networking groups for everyone. The 7 a.m. coffee is not for me. So.
No, and it wasn't really the time as much as how the people acted. Like, you kind of know when you walk into a group that you kind of don't feel comfortable, and they were just so pumped up and excited. And I'm going, it's 7:00 in the morning. Like, why are you guys so excited? I'm looking all around, and they're really pumped up about getting these referrals. But I'm like, in my opinion, like, some of the referrals are junk, because you're just telling people you're going to get 10 referrals a month, and then you follow up with the person, and like, no, I'm sorry, I never heard of you. I'm not interested. I mean, wouldn't it be a lot better just to have 5 genuine referrals and even get like warm introductions and going through, this kind of cat and dance thing where you're writing that person's name down so you can fill your little quota up, And then that other salesperson contacts them and like they've never heard of you before and they're not interested. So I was like, yeah, this is definitely not for me. But I will say, like, that is one of the most expensive networking groups in Michigan.
Yeah.
They charge a lot of money. They almost charge $1,000 a year, and people swear by it. And they pay the $1,000, and I'm just like, I'm baffled that I guess it does work for some people. I don't know.
And I think that's where, kind of back to what we keep circling back to, a good business coach or mentor can help you, because so many new businesses starting out, they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know, where should I start? What, if I can only choose one thing a month, because by the way, I have 4 jobs right now, like where do you invest your time? And I think that's why it's so important to have a coach like yourself, a friend like Lake Trust, SCORE, you get your mentor through there. Or you mentioned you had a couple mentors.
Yes.
It would be interesting if you had a couple mentors to pick each of their brain, right? I can do one thing because I have so much on my plate. What should be that one thing? Because when you're an entrepreneur, your time is time is money, not to be cheesy, but your time is so valuable that you have to use it in an equitable way.
Yeah, and not only time, but money is too. And so, like I said, because of the price of a lot of these networking groups, sometimes you can only be in one networking group at a time, because that's all that's really feasible. I mean, like, some of these rates are ridiculous, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to keep the rates as low as possible. And then just we were a recipient of the Lake Trust Give Back campaign, and so I wanted to keep, let's supplement the income from other places, so we're not just taking it for our members. We'll find it from other resources, so we can keep the membership rate as low as possible. And I absorb a lot of the cost myself.
You do. The value that individuals get through it, because like you said, you're getting the help and the expertise, but you're also getting a built-in network. Yeah. And that really, it's really invaluable when you're starting.
I agree. Yeah, especially if you move into a new town and you don't know a lot of people. You
or you're switching. Think about you. I mean, you kind of already knew, but you really changed industries. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing this and now you're jumping over to your passion, you might not know that many people in this segment.
Exactly. Yeah, and I talk about that in the Fire Your Job, Be Your Own Boss, because I wanted to make that clear. A lot of people who are going into sales now, due to COVID or other circumstances, the book was written before COVID, but who are going into a sales career, they are coming out of a profession where they were downsized or laid off or fired or whatever. And so they don't really have a huge sales background. So they do need that. They need some coaching. I mean, just point blank, if you're new at something, even if you have the training, any of us can open a book, but I think the nice thing about coaching is that you need someone that you're accountable to and who's going to walk alongside you and help you. So it's definitely vital as a new business owner. I just had John Clear, who's a real estate investor. He was my guest last Thursday, and I said, if there was one thing you could change about your business, what would it be? And he said, I would have started out with a mentor. So that was like, hey, that was a free plug-in for us. I mean, I didn't even ask him to say that. So mentorship is really, really important. And that was kind of the crust of Women Who Inspire. I believe in mentorship so heavily that I basically have based 2 organizations now surrounding mentorship. But we do offer more than that. It's training, it's networking, it's mentorship. It's all of those components combined into one. And I think if you do surround yourself with successful people and highly motivated people, that it's gonna rub off on you, and you're gonna pick up on some things that successful people in these industries are doing. And eventually you'll start to soar. Your goal is to get to where they're already at. So
and I think that's why. So because we have the microloan, and we want to help the underserved, and micro businesses, true small businesses are an underserved segment. We're working with these individuals, and entrepreneurs also, bless your hearts, you all run, right? You're great doers and you run. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know.
You hit a brick wall at some point.
Yeah. Do I need an LLC? I need an S, they just don't know this. And so that's where a lot of times it's great as Lake Trust, we come in because we want to be like an engine of community well-being. And that is financial well-being. That's creating, a great, and so it's connecting individuals to you that we can say, gosh, you know what? This is great. Let us help you get your business started financially. But we also have these friends over here that could really be a great resource for you, because you just never know what you don't know. Absolutely. And so, like you said, a true coach, just like an athlete, a professional athlete, they're not out there doing it on their own. LeBron James still has a coach, even though he's great. You can be the greatest and still really, really learn from your mentor and your coach.
Yeah. And, sports is a great analogy to business, because there's so many things that are just alike. But, the really good players, they have personal coaches. They have the coach on their team. They have 2 or 3 coaches. Sometimes their parents, they participated somehow in the sport. So they kind of surround themselves by people who are pushing them to be the best that they can be. So it's usually like a village of coaches, not just one. So sometimes it's good to have 2 or 3, because honestly, with what I was on with DBHG, because it was so unique, I had to find 2 or 3 different ones who could help me, because I couldn't get all the answers from just one coach. So sometimes it does take more than one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad this was all like a DBHG commercial today. So
it was. No, I mean, Lake Trust loves working with your organization, because we know that, if we send individuals to you, they're going to get the support that they need. And, your network is so great too. We've met a lot of great resources that, if we can't refer them to you, we've been able to send them to individuals I've met at your networking events. So, the bottom line is we want to help small businesses across the state. And, I'm very passionate about Metro Detroit. I think people get tired of me hearing about how great it is in Metro Detroit and Washtenaw County, but, I really want to help. And yes, we can help with the financial aspect. Obviously, we do a great job with that. But we also want to be able to have a strong network to send these businesses to, and to partner and help them grow and be successful and feel like they have a strong team around them.
Yeah.
And I feel like this has been great. Like we were talking earlier, COVID has this weird time thing where it feels like it's been a really long time. So it's been fun. It's been like chatting,
I know. We're going to have to get together sometime and actually go shopping.
Dangerous, but yes, I would love to.
Well, I'll make sure I talk to your husband first, so we put you on a budget before you walk out the house.
I don't know. He'll tell you he tries to stay out of that. I'm a financial expert, so I try to rein it in most of the time. But like I said, there's so many fun shops in Detroit that it really is fun to just spend a day, whether you're Avenue of Fashion, Midtown, wherever you're at. It's fun to just kind of shop all day.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, we'll have to definitely go on a shopping spree. I consider you a friend as well, and sometimes it's difficult to find friends in certain industries that you're in and the work that you're doing. But I think there's nothing, even the Bible says there's nothing greater, more satisfying than to work with someone who's happy doing what they're doing with their hands. So, it looks like we were frozen for a minute. That was weird. Yeah. That hasn't happened to me before.
So I did want to share. So I know you have my contact information. So individuals can reach out to you and get it. But my last name's kind of tricky, but it's N. So Nicole Dietrich, D is in David, IETRICH at laketrust.org. So N Dietrich at laketrust.org, or they could reach out to you and you can send them my way.
I will definitely do that, Nicole. Your name's also up on the screen too. So
yes. Oh gosh. Okay.
No, that's
a moment.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our show today. We're going to break to commercial. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. Make sure that you come back Thursday at 6 p.m. We will be here. We're going to have another special guest join us. So We look forward to seeing you all on Thursday, and also visit our website at dbhg.org for more information about our organization. Nicole, thank you so much for plugging the book as well as our organization, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was fun.
That was fun. I agree.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.